welcome back to my channel. Do you know, it feels really weird kind of recording this in real time when I'm like not pregnant. Yeah, like that's it. So the last video I posted was my birth vlog, and off the back of that I had loads of questions, and I thought before I post my next vlog, which is like the first 48 hours with a newborn, yeah, I pretty much just carried on vlogging like straight after giving birth. So that'll be the next video up. I thought in the interim I will just like sit down, answer a load of these frequently asked questions all about my labour and my birth and just all the gory details in between. So without further ado, I'm gonna get straight into it, and if you're not subscribed, do subscribe because I upload new videos regularly, and give this video likes, I guarantee you're gonna enjoy it. Maybe I'll end this video as well with like a little cameo from my new little bub who is currently downstairs with daddy. And I haven't picked which questions I'm gonna answer, but I did have loads and they were all quite similar. So okay, a lot of questions about induction and did I consider getting induced, because if you don't know, I was 16 days overdue, so I ended up giving birth at 42 plus 2 weeks pregnant. And if you don't follow me on TikTok, that is when I was covering everything about being overdue and my thoughts on induction and things like that. And I did a hypnobirthing course when I was pregnant, and for me personally, and everyone is completely different circumstances, I didn't need to be induced. I was having scans, I was having checks, everything was fine, everything was healthy, the amniotic fluid looked good, the placenta looked good, the baby's weight was good, the position was good, I felt good, my bloods were good, my urines were good. There was no need for me to get induced. And when I did go to my 40-week midwife appointment, she did say, we induce at 40 plus 10, and I said no thanks, I'm good. And yeah, they just kind of monitored me. Yeah, pretty much at 41 weeks I was having like 2 appointments a week. I mean, that only went on for a week because I went into labour at 42 plus 1, gave birth at 42 plus 2. I don't know, I trusted my body, trusted my baby. Like, I felt like I was having all these pre-labour symptoms. I was having, you know, quite intense menstrual cramps sometimes. You know, there was pressure down there, she was head down, like they told me that she couldn't be further into my pelvis, and I just knew that I would go into it like, you're not going to be pregnant forever, and everyone's different. Like, my thought process is, if I'm happy, my baby's healthy, there's no need to be induced. She doesn't know what day it is, she doesn't know it's 40 weeks, she doesn't know it's her due date. Like, the baby will come when she's ready. She was only £7.13 at 42 plus 2, so everyone was telling me I was going to give birth to a 10-pounder and my placenta would be like dust. It wasn't true at all. I had a fully functioning placenta. She weighed £7.13. She was right on time. Yeah, of course there are some tiny additional risks with being 42 weeks pregnant, like very, very, very minuscule, but there's also a lot of risks which comes from induction as well, like increased rate of emergency C-section and loads of other things. And yeah, I didn't want to be induced, I didn't need to be induced. If you need to be induced because there's health risk to you or your baby, then 100%, but we were fine, and she was great. Like, they can offer advice, but you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Like, and all the midwives were actually really supportive because I was healthy and they were checking me and I was having scans and whatnot and everything looked good. So yeah, they respected my decision and they were really supportive. So that was that in a very long-winded answer. I mean, there were loads of questions like that. Like, even somebody asked, did I find it hard to advocate for myself to kind of birth my baby on the midwife unit? So after a certain amount of time, like if you refuse induction, they do suggest that you give birth on the obstetrics unit, like with the doctors upstairs. I was very set on wanting to still be with the midwives, and again I said I want that. I don't want to give birth there, and they kind of said that's fine. They said there's an increased risk again, blah blah blah, and I said no, I want to give birth there, and then I did, and it was great. But anyway, yeah, that's that about induction. Did you tear during the birth? No, I didn't tear, and I think there's 3 reasons for that. Maybe not 3 reasons as a cumulative, but maybe 3 contributing factors. So the first one is I did do my perineal massage like from 35 weeks. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't consistent with it. I would do it like twice a week, maybe 3 times a week on a good week. I did a little bit of perineal massage in preparation. And the second thing is I was in the birth pool for like 6 hours in total, 4 hours before I started pushing. I have actually read since that can make you tear more because it softens you up, and maybe I had like a sweet spot or something. Like, I thought maybe it was beneficial for helping it come out, but yeah, I think that might have been a contributing factor. And then the last thing, which I did say in my birth video if you watched it, so during the pushing, when the head comes out, they call it the ring of fire. It's like basically like a split second when like the head comes through a certain part of the vagina or whatever. So for me, I was waiting for my body to, you know, involuntary push. So I was like waiting for the contractions to come and your body starts pushing. Probably about 5 pushes where she just wasn't coming out, like her head was kind of coming out and then going back in. But one of the pushes, which was the one before she came out, her head was just like stuck in the ring of fire. So like I had to wait for the next contraction. It was probably about 7, they were about 6 or 7 minutes apart. So I was basically like deep breathing, basically screaming, because if I relaxed, her head would go back in. So I was just like deep breathing, her head was literally stuck in the ring of fire, and that really was the cherry on top of like a 36-hour labor. But I do think that's why I didn't tear, because she was there like, you know, slowly. It was there for 7 minutes. So I was so lucky. I feel like my recovery has been great. My heart goes out to any mum who tears their perineum during birth. Like, I cannot even imagine like going for number 2 after that, or like anything. However, I did have 3 stitches in my clitoris. Not uncommon apparently, but I was like, what? How does that even happen? Didn't even notice it, didn't feel it, but yeah, I had to have 3 little stitches in my clitoris afterwards. So can you say clitoris on YouTube? I guess we'll find out. How did you keep going for 36 hours unmedicated? I plan to go natural too. I mean, a big part of me like puts my lifestyle down to like being able to kind of like power through physically. Like, I trained throughout pregnancy, I trained up until 37 weeks. My diet I kept very similar, very good, like, so my energy levels, I don't know, were probably better than if I'd just been kind of like laying there for 9 months eating cheeseburgers. But the main advice I'd give anyone who wants an unmedicated birth, there were quite a lot of questions about pain relief. I didn't have any. I'm not saying like, oh my God, it's amazing I didn't have any, but I don't take tablets anyway. Like, I haven't had a paracetamol for like 20 years. It's just not something I tend to do if I'm not well. I kind of let my body recover. Like, I never take anything, even when I had heartburn during pregnancy. Like, you won't see me touch a Gaviscon. Like, it's completely each their own, but I'm very much believe in let the body do what it needs to do. Food is great medicine, and not to just like rely on tablets all the time. And yeah, that's just a personal thing to me. So yeah, I didn't have any pain relief at all. But my advice, if you do want to have an unmedicated birth, would be to stagger your tools. And I feel like that really helped me. I didn't realize it was going to be 36 hours, but like initially I knew that the pain wasn't going to be what it was down the line. So it was just like endure it like the whole time we were at home. I didn't really do anything apart from just like concentrate and breathe and just chill in between. I wish I'd rested more in the beginning. That's one thing I wish I'd done. Like, I thought, oh my God, I'm in labour, like let's go, adrenaline through the roof. But now I wish I'd like slept more, or like didn't get up so early, or just napped in between. So I had Jeff doing pressure points on my back. So we learned like 3 different pressure points in hypnobirthing. One's more like an up the back type movement, one's like a pelvic squeeze, and then one is like pushing points on your lower back. So I kind of saved that, which you would have seen in the birth vlog. Like, we started doing that in the evening, so I kind of waited until I was really struggling at home, and then we used the pressure points. That was like kind of tool number 1. Obviously the breathing techniques and stuff as well, like the up breathing and stuff, I did all throughout, so I wouldn't really call that a tool. That was just like a standard thing I did throughout. But yeah, the pressure points was probably tool number 1. I didn't want to use the TENS machine until we got to hospital. Like, a lot of people say, like, since you start having contractions, throw on the TENS machine. Like, I wanted to again wait until I was really struggling, which again you would have seen in the video that I did. So when we got to the hospital, I kind of tried to go as long as I can, and then I put on the TENS machine. So that was like the second kind of tool that I used. I used that up until 5 centimeters, which I think is technically active labor, and I really waited as long as I could before getting in the tub. I didn't actually plan to use the tub, but I thought like the tub would be like another thing to kind of work towards and like get me through another stage. So yeah, I kind of waited as long as I could. The contractions were 1 minute apart. They were lasting a minute. They were really uncomfortable, intense. I couldn't sit down because of the pressure down in my vagina, and I was so tired, like I had to stand the whole time. So yeah, I just needed to like have a little bit of rest time. So yeah, about 5 centimeters I got in the tub, and then in the tub, Jeff was doing the pressure points again. And towards the end, I couldn't even have him touch me. I was actually using his shin to like squeeze. But yeah, if you've got any tools like TENS machine, birth pool, like pressure points, or just like little things, try and like stagger it out as long as you can, so you feel like you're doing it in stages instead of just like using all your lifelines in one go, you know? There's kind of 3 mindset things which like helped me throughout, which kind of like affirmations that I would keep like reminding myself and telling myself. So the first one is, there are thousands of other women doing this at exactly the same time as you. If they can do it, I can do it. So like I had a little bit of, not competition, but you think about it, there are thousands of women at the same time as you giving birth, unmedicated, medicated, whatever. So I was like, there's thousands of other women doing this, like I'm doing it with them, we're doing it, we can do it, I can do it. Like I've got, you know, that kind of mentality. So that helped me. The second thing was something we learned in hypnobirthing, which is, can I get through 1 minute of pain? Because in between contractions, like yes, it's uncomfortable and like you're tired and it's not great, but it's gonna come and it's gonna go. And like with a contraction, especially when you're in active labor, like there's a peak, and then as soon as the peak dies off, it's like, okay, can I get through the next one? Once you've done one, it's like, well, I've already done one, so what's the point of me having pain relief now? Like I'm already doing it. I've proved I can handle one, so I can do the next one. Like don't think of them as like an accumulative thing. Just think of the next one. It's just one. Can I get through 1 minute of pain? Yes or no? Yeah. And then repeat, and not to think too far into it. So that really helped me. You know, if you did have an epidural or whatever, like the pain is still happening. Like just, you know, whether you can feel it or not, it's still happening there. So I kind of had that mindset as well. I was like, it's not gonna stop this happening. Like we need to get through this, we need to get to the end. So let's just power through. And then the last thing, which I think was really, really important, is an affirmation again that we learned in hypnobirthing. And it can't be too painful for you because it is you. Like your body's not doing it to you, it's your body. Like it's not an external thing, like it's not too much for you because it is you. Does that make sense? So that really helped me. I was like, I trust that this is right for my body, like I feel safe, and yeah, it can't be too unbearable for me because otherwise it wouldn't be happening to me. I don't know if that makes sense, but those kind of like 3 mindset things really helped me throughout. Yeah, loads of questions about the hypnobirthing course. So a lovely girl called Nia did my hypnobirthing course. She came around the house if you're South Wales based. She has like weird hours because she's a mum of 4, but I will link her Instagram below. It's Cariad Birth, and yeah, I think from September she's going to have more slots free, so maybe if you're due like end of the year or early next year, you could hit her up. But either way, I really recommend doing a hypnobirthing course and just like taking in as much knowledge as possible, because knowledge is power. And would you turn up to a marathon having not trained? Like no, you wouldn't. Like you'd be prepared. So I always think, be as prepared as you can and then go with the flow. Don't just think, oh, I'm just gonna go into labor and like see what happens. Like be as educated and as clued up as you can, and then you can go with the flow. I'm really lucky that I did end up having like my dream birth. Was it horrendous? Yeah, it was absolutely messed up. Like it's completely inhumane. But that was the birth that I dreamed of having. I do feel like just like mentally preparing is key. So yeah, highly recommend doing hypnobirthing. How long ago did you decide her name? We literally decided her name really early on, and I don't even remember the conversation that we had. We were back and forth with the middle name a little bit. Grace is my middle name, and it's also my Bampy's mum's christened first name, so it is in the family. And Harper, we just both loved. And so yeah, it just stuck from really early on. I love her name, Little Harper Grace. Absolutely love it. Someone said, why was the car journey horrendous? So I literally put on my last video, one horrendous car journey later. If you've been in labour in the car, you will know. Not only was it unbearable to sit down, but going over bumps and stuff, and like having to have contractions in the car, like sat upright, it was just absolute hell. Jeff also went the wrong way, like he missed the turning, so that added an extra contraction in the car. Love that for me. What apps did I use to time contractions and for hypnobirthing? So throughout pregnancy, I was using an app called Ovia Pregnancy, just to tell me like what fruit shape my baby was, like what symptoms I might have that week, and just all of that kind of stuff. There's a contraction timer on there, so I did start using that early on. I started timing my contractions at like 7 AM, even though I started having them at 4 AM. And then once like I got deeper into labour, like in the nighttime, I switched to the app Freya, which I had to pay for. It was like $1.99, and that's like a hypnobirthing app. So it does like the hypnobirthing breathing, like in for 3, out for 6, and it kind of coaches you through the breathing, which makes it quite good. It also tells you like when you're in active labour, like when you should go to hospital and how far apart they need to be and stuff, which was quite cool. A lot of people asked me about the TENS machine. So I never actually planned on using a TENS machine, and then when I posted about it, like loads of people said that they swore by it and they thought it was amazing. I did actually really like it. It was like a really good distraction. I wouldn't say it's like pain relief, but it's like pain receptors, isn't it? It kind of distracts you. So I just had them on my lower back. There's 4 pads, but I didn't really use the top 2. I just liked them on my lower back. I was really lucky that I didn't have any back labor. Like, I actually don't know what that feels like, but I know a lot of people get really bad contractions in their lower back. I didn't, which was great. But yeah, I just had them on my lower back, and then at the kind of peak of the contraction, I'd like boost the vibration, and I used it less and less as time goes on. I was kind of using it a little bit, but just having it there to kind of press and like pass the time was really helpful. So definitely take one. If you don't like it, just take it off, but 100%, like, as I said, go with your tools. I also used combs at the beginning, similarly for like pain receptors, and yeah, I didn't love the combs. I don't feel like they did much for me, but I know other people love squeezing combs. So again, tools in your toolbox is key. Somebody said, was it what you expected? If you know me, I was very much like, can't wait for labor, like can't wait for this challenge, like just, oh, can't wait. I don't want to sugarcoat it, because a lot of people said like that I looked really calm in my video. I was calm. It is awful. You can't like sugarcoat it. That's why people say it's more painful than childbirth. Like it's known as the most pain you'll probably ever be in. You can't really mentally prepare yourself for that. It's like saying, oh, in a few days time you're gonna break your leg. You're not like, oh my God. When you think about pain, you're not in pain. Like if I think about it now, I'm like completely content because the pain is gone. But yeah, mentally prepare yourself. It's messed up. Like childbirth is wild. It's insane. Absolutely insane. No one will tell you different. So yeah, I guess it is what I expected, because I expected it to be really awful, but you can't know what that feels like until you've kind of been through it. Don't want to scare anyone, but it's important to be realistic and just know that there are obviously like pain relief options, like a million of them. So just do your research again, as I said, and yeah, just manifest the birth that you want and do what's right for you. But yeah, definitely more horrendous than I expected, but also euphoric at the end, like euphoric. Like I would do it again in a heartbeat for her. Oh, somebody asked what pregnancy pillow I recommend. Well, this is the one I use. It's the BB Hug Me pregnancy pillow. She's my bestie. I'm still using her now. I'm using her for feeding mainly now. Took her to the hospital with me. She cuddled me through pregnancy. Quite expensive, but like cost per use. Yeah, I really like that one, so I'd quickly answer that. How's feeding going? Were you able to combination feed? Quite a few questions about feeding, so I did talk about it a little bit in my like pregnancy videos and stuff. Yeah, to be fair, I actually currently, I'm obviously only 11 days postpartum, but the feeding is like going exactly how I want. So I'm breastfeeding pretty much 90% of the time, and then we're doing 1 bottle feed in the night. So currently Jeff gives her a bottle at like 1, so then I've been going to bed at 10. I've been feeding her, going to bed at 10. Jeff gives her a bottle like midnight 1, and then he'll either bring her straight up and put her to sleep, and then when, you know, 3 hours later, whatever, I feed her, or he'll wait until she's hungry again and then bring her up. He's like quite cool to stay up late, and he'd rather sleep in the morning, whereas I'd rather just like go to bed and get some sleep in. So yeah, she's feeding really well. Like she like latched really well. My milk came in around day 3, not really having any soreness. I don't know whether it gets harder, I'm sure it does. But at this moment in time, the combination feeding is going really well. She takes the bottle, she takes the boobs, and we did it straight away. And that's a lot of people say, like, breastfeed exclusively for 6 weeks and then introduce a bottle, and the people I spoke to said otherwise. They said no, just do what you want to do from the off. And yeah, it's working really well for us. She'll take either, and she's happy as Larry. So far so good. I'm sure I'll face some challenges with it. How do you know when your waters had gone in the pool? Did you feel it? The thing is, I wanted my waters to go because I was like, let's just get to the end, even though I've been told that like it is more painful after your waters break. So if your waters break at the beginning, before your contractions start, like I can only imagine that, but mine went, I was probably about 8 centimeters when my waters went, and it did ramp it up. After that, it was wild. It was literally what I've heard people say, almost like a pop and a poof, and like stuff just coming out of me. Like, didn't feel like I was peeing myself. It felt like a gush. It felt like what you'd expect your waters breaking to feel like. But yeah, pretty much everything came out in that pop, and I was like, oh my god, my waters have gone. Like, I knew immediately. So I know some people's break over time. Yeah, mine popped and gushed out of me. It was lovely. Someone asked me what the TENS machine was actually. Let me show you, because I borrowed it off a friend. This guy. So if you want to take a screenshot, you can get it on Amazon. But I'd highly recommend trying to borrow one or rent one, because It's a lot to just buy for one use. If you've got anyone who can lend, recommend. What's something that you thought would be hard but has been easier than you something that you thought would be hard but has been easier than you thought? If you're pregnant or you're going to have a baby, the fear-mongering around the tiredness is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I think people are like, oh, you're gonna be so tired, you're gonna be so tired, and you like fear it. Like, I was like so scared of the tiredness. Yeah, you're a bit more tired, but you're also like so happy. I think there's a difference between being tired and miserable and like tired and happy. Like, yeah, you're more tired, but like couldn't be happier. Do you know what I mean? So like, don't fear the tiredness. Like, yeah, you'll be tired, but you'll be happy, so it's fine. Like, I think that was the main thing. I was just so nervous about the tiredness and the sleepless night. And like, you know, some nights I've had like 2 hours sleep and whatever. And then after labour, obviously, like, I'm only just starting to feel more myself after that marathon. You're tired, but you're fine. So like, don't worry about being tired. Like, you'll be literally absolutely fine. Like, nothing to worry about. So that's definitely something which has been easier than I thought to deal with. Yeah, loads of similar questions, to be fair, just about like, was labour more painful than you expected, all about induction, all about tearing, all about feeding, hypnobirthing, TENS machine. Hopefully I've answered like loads about the apps that I used. Loads of really nice messages as well, just saying like that they loved my birth video and stuff. Thank you so much if you did watch it. It is amazing to have that to look back on, obviously. But yeah, those are all the questions that I'm going to answer. I hope I did cover most of them. They were quite like similar, the questions that I had. If there's anything that I didn't answer, then please pop it in the comments. I'll be sure to reply. But yeah, maybe that helped or gave you some insight if you are going to give birth or if you want to have like an unmedicated birth. Yeah, very empowering. Like, you know, it's my proudest moment in life, obviously. And people say that it's the best day of their life. No, it was not the best day of my life. Like, that is BS. Sorry, I call BS. Best moment of my life, yes. Best moment of my life, 100%. Best day of my life, no, probably one of the worst. One of the worst. Moment, best. From me and little Harper Grace. Say hello, talking all about giving birth to you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you took something from it. I hope maybe if it was helpful or informative, please give it a like, because it really helps the algorithm on YouTube for other people to discover this delightful video, and also my channel. Send it to someone who's going to give birth soon. And yeah, just make sure to subscribe because I do upload new videos regularly. I'm looking forward to going through the footage of the 48 hours after labour. That should be fun, glamorous and fun. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Say bye, Missy Moo. Bye. I need to leave I'm a mum now. No, me neither.